At this point of Football Manager's life cycle, the game can tend to get a little bit stale. You've probably done all the saves that you plan to do at the start of the game, but now you might be looking for something new. Well, that's where this video will come in, because I'll be giving you 10 unusual save ideas that I can pretty much guarantee you wouldn't have considered. Through this video, I'll be showcasing clubs of various difficulties all across Europe that you can try and manage with some kind of storyline in mind to try and achieve. If you do get any use out of this video, make sure you smash that like button for me and comment down below what save you're currently doing in Football Manager. It would be great to hear what you guys are up to. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. And our first club is a Danish side. Now I am just going to say most of my pronunciations in this video will probably be terrible, but I'll do my best. This is AaB, also known in game as Aalborg Club. I don't know if I've done that right, but AaB is what they will be referred to most of the time in Football Manager. They are one of the most reputable sides in Denmark, and in the past, only as far back as about 10 years ago, they were winning the top division. As you can see, they won it in 2014, they won it in 2008, runners-up in 2007. Now, they're by no means the biggest side in Denmark, but they're certainly one of the more reputable ones. They've got decent facilities, a nice stadium to go alongside it, their reputation is not too bad, and they might just seem like a generic Danish division save. But this is something a little bit different, because this team isn't actually in the first division. In fact, despite winning the top tier only 10 years ago, if we have a look at their competition history, here you are, 2007, they are winning the league. The year after, they finished in 7th place. And all of these are top division finishes. 2010 was their lowest finish up until recently, where they finished 10th. Again, they then go and push on to win the title a few years later, but as you can see, this very steep drop-off in a recent season. In the 22-23 season, they were relegated from the league. They fell into the second tier. They are favourites to go back up. This is all FM24 based. I don't know what's gone on with some of these clubs in real life. I'd assume they did get promoted. Feel free to let me know in the comments if they did or if they didn't in the 23-24 season. But when you start your save in FM24, you'll find them in the second tier. Your job is going to be to take them over, get them back up to the top of Danish first flight football, then try and win the league, and hopefully then go on to eventually compete in Europe. For our second club, we head over to the Netherlands. Now, all the teams in this video, I found the information on an article that I'll leave in the description with over 100 different save ideas for you guys, but I wanted to highlight 10 of my favourites, and this seemed like an interesting one because the article stated second tier side Top OSS are the only professional side in the Netherlands to have never played Eredivisie football. Now, I don't know if that is true. There might be other clubs out there, maybe the article got it wrong, but even if they were wrong, they are certainly one of the few professional sides in the Netherlands to never play top flight football. And if we have a look at their overview, if we go to competitions, you can see there is no competition win in the top flight, as you can imagine. They've been in the second tier pretty much all of this millennia without really ever making a push for the top flight. So your job will be to take them over, bring them to the Eredivisie. It's the promised land for them. It's where they've been trying to go for recent seasons. You're going to get them there and then try and stay up and eventually compete with the big boys at the top. PSV, Feyenoord, Ajax, AZ Alkmaar. Your job will be to take over all of them and create a dominant force in the Netherlands. Now, club number 3 is actually a challenge that I've done myself here on FM24, and if you want to check out my rebuild of this club, you can find it on my channel, which is linked in the description down below. I'd really appreciate any support over there as we push on to 40,000 subscribers. You can see how I did with the club and see if you can do a better job, and I'm talking about Paris FC. Now, this is probably one of the more known challenges from this video that I'm going to talk about. If you don't know, Paris FC are a club in the second flight of French football, and as you can see, they are situated in Paris. Now, obviously, Paris FC are a club in the capital city of France, but they are clearly overshadowed by a different team, and that is, of course, Paris Saint-Germain, who are not only a dominant side in France, but in world football, and as far as leagues go in Europe, they are one of the most dominant teams compared to everybody else in their division, especially in Football Manager. PSG are a great team, and they continue to get better in your saves. They won't stall, they'll sign all the best players in the world, so taking Paris FC to Ligue 1 will be the first challenge, but eventually you need to try and topple PSG, the club that are from your city. You want to be the biggest side in Paris, and to do so, you need to knock PSG off of their perch. Now, they don't necessarily have form for this. Paris FC don't really have any notable trophies to their name, and if you have a look at their history, they were in the 4th tier not too long ago, then got into the 3rd tier, and for the last 5 or 6 seasons have been in the 2nd division, and actually doing pretty well, although not quite cutting it in the promotion race. Your job will be to change that, bring them to Ligue 1, and then eventually eventually try and topple PSG, and I can tell you it's not an easy job. Up next is a team from Bulgaria, CSKA Sofia, who are one of the most notable sides in the nation, and I'm not just saying that. If we actually go to Bulgaria in Football Manager and look at major clubs, you will see they're just under Ludogorets in terms of reputation as one of the biggest sides in the nation. They've got some great players as well. There is an issue with the club, and that is that not too long ago they were winning the top division. In 2008 was their last title win. They've won the Bulgarian First League 31 times, but you will see they were always competing for the title, and then suddenly they had this massive dip. They got relegated into, I think, the third tier. Apologies if I am wrong and it was only down to the second tier, but I believe they were in the third division. Now though, they are in the top flight yet again, but they still have not won that top division trophy since their last win in 2008. And on top of them being a dominant side in Bulgaria, they've actually been to the semi-finals of the Champions League, or the Champions League equivalent of that time, on 2 occasions. So they do have some kind of pedigree in Europe. Your job will be to restore them as Bulgarian champions and then try and go a little bit further and win a Champions League with the club. One of the smallest sides I'm going to suggest in this video though is Alta IF, a club that don't necessarily have big facilities or a massive reputation behind them. Their stadium only holds 1,250 people, and in terms of competition wins, there's nothing really notable here. They're a side actually in the third tier of Norwegian football. In Group 2, they are called Alta IF, and the reason that I've suggested them is the article that I read stated that they were one of the most northern sides in Football Manager that you can manage. In fact, the article states these are the furthest north team you can manage. Again, I don't know necessarily whether that is fully true or not. They certainly will be one of the furthest north teams to manage, and that is the challenge with this team, to take a team all the way from the north of the world and bring them eventually to Champions League glory, which is going to be a really long slog. You've not only got to make it into the second tier of Norway, then to the first tier, then to become the best side in the nation, and even then you won't be expected to do anything at all on a European front, but if you can make it work, it will be one of the best saves you've ever attempted. For our next club, we're going to Poland, to Polonia Warsaw, who I've definitely butchered the pronunciation of there, and you might look at them and think small reputation, not the best facilities, not a huge stadium, why am I suggesting them? Well, you might not know this, and I didn't know this until reading the article, but it wasn't too long ago they were winning the Polish top flight in 2000. They also won it just after the war in 1946. They've got a League Cup and a Super Cup to their name, and you can see there's plenty of trophies in their history. They are a side that are used to success, but there was a bit of a twist in their history. In fact, as you can see, they were enjoying some time in the second flight and top flight of Polish football, and then all of a sudden, in around 2012, they took a plummet, not just down into the second tier, not to the third, not to the fourth, but all the way to the fifth tier. I believe they went bankrupt, some kind of finance issue, and eventually they had to work their way back up, and they have done. Straight into the fourth tier on the first season, a couple of seasons later into the third tier, relegated back to fourth tier, back into the third tier, and very recently promoted into the second division of Polish football. They are there now. They're not predicted to do very well. Your job will be to take over as manager of the club, not only keep them afloat in the second tier, bring them back eventually to the top tier of Polish football, challenge for the league title, and then try and compete in Europe also. They've had a massive fall from grace. I think it will be fun if you can try and race against the clock and try and win top flight by 2030. That'll be 30 years on from when they won the division last. I think this could be a really fun save. If you haven't managed in Poland, it is great fun, so give it a try if you haven't already. Something a little bit closer to home though is a save in England, the only one I'm going to suggest in this video. Vanarama National League Southside Dorking Wanderers is the pick. They were founded just in 1999, so not too long ago, and have had loads of promotions in their very short history, to be honest, and they now find themselves doing pretty well. You might know them from their social media accounts. They have a whole TikTok page called Bunch of Amateurs, I think it's called. Mark White is a pretty famous manager for the level that they're at. I'm not saying he's super famous, but for the level they're in, he's quite a recognisable face. He's quite fiery in interviews and whatnot, and is just generally quite a fun personality to watch. And for that reason, Dorking's profile has kind of been expanded past where you'd expect them to be, considering the division they're in, and there are quite a few eyes on them. So your job will be to take over at Dorking and get them all the way to the Premier League. From the article, it states that this club was founded in a pub not too long ago, and if you do have a look at their competition history, this is only in the last 10 years or so, since 2012. They've had a meteoric rise, really, promotion after promotion. They're never in a division for too long, consistent success, and this is why Dorking could be a really fun save. You've got to try and continue that success, keep them going through the Football League system, eventually get them to the Premier League. A club that offers two potential save ideas though is Como 1907. They are backed by Cesc Fabregas, Thierry Henry and a few other former players. I think Fabregas is the assistant manager of the club as well. I originally thought he was the manager of the club, but I think there was some kind of issue with his licenses, and for that reason he was only the assistant. I'm sure he will eventually go on to be the full-time coach, so do let me know if I've got any of my information there wrong. But Como are a very interesting club. When you start FM24, they're in the second tier. They play their football in the city of Como, which is known for its beauty. Lake Como has featured in plenty of films. I think it's in Star Wars as well. Either way though, Como 1907 are a club in the second tier when you start your game, although if you do get updated leagues installed for a download, we've done a video about it recently on the channel, Como will actually be in Serie A. They got promoted this season and that will be a challenge in itself. They're a club with a growing reputation. I imagine when FM25 comes along, lots of people will be attempting this save, but if you start with them in the second tier, it will still go the same way. You'll just have to get them promoted like they got in real life. They've got decent facilities, but definitely need to be worked on to actually have a chance of winning Serie A anytime soon, but that'll be the challenge. It'll be great fun. I'll be keeping my eyes on Como in Serie A this season. It'll be interesting to see how they do, but that's a save idea if you want to manage in Italy. Two saves to go though, and we head back to the Netherlands for this one, to Almere City, a club in the Eredivisie. They're already in the top flight, but as you can see, they're a very small side to be there. Their reputation isn't great. They've only got a 4,000 capacity stadium, not the greatest facilities either, but their rise in football has been meteoric. They were only founded around 20 years ago, and if you have a look, they were pretty much sitting in the third tier for a long while, eventually made it into the second tier, and after a relegation, then they got promoted and eventually went straight up into the Eredivisie in third place. They're not expected to be in the Eredivisie. They're definitely minnows for the division, but they are there. They are in the top flight. They were only founded in 2001, and now they're playing Eredivisie football. Keeping them up will be a massive challenge in itself in the Eredivisie, but going on from there and trying to compete with the wealthier sides in the nation won't be an easy challenge, but for a club that was only founded in 2001, they could be a really fun save. We finish off with Dinamo Bucuresti, a team in game that has huge history, again pretty good facilities and whatnot, but if you have a look, they're a side that have won 18 Romanian First Division titles. They're a club in Romania, if I forgot to mention that. They've got Romanian Cups to their name, 13 in fact. They're a very successful side, but in recent years it hasn't gone as well. As you can see, if we go to their overview, they did get relegated into the second tier of their league. They have since been promoted and are now back in the first division. Not expected to do crazy well. If we go to the season preview of the Romanian first tier, you'll see they're predicted to finish in 11th place. 450 to 1 odds of winning the title, but they're a side with a massive reputation in terms of Romanian football, and your job is to try and carry them back up to the top, try and win the league with them, try and compete in Europe and bring them back to their glory. So there you go, there's 10 different save ideas for you to try in FN24. Hopefully some pretty unusual ones that you wouldn't have thought about before. If you did enjoy the video, smash the like button for me and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.